Welcome back, everybody, to Retro.HK 2017. We're continuing our dev diaries with Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, and we're talking to Fabien from Game Atelier. So, how's it going?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting us and for showcasing Monster Boy on the Retro.HK event. This is really cool. We are happy about that.
Thank you so much. Monster Boy here is a world exclusive, and we couldn't be happier to show it off. It's an amazing, beautiful game. People are looking at it right now. These gorgeous anime cutscenes that we see. What was the inspiration for those anime cutscenes?
So basically, this cutscenes, we started to make them when very early in the process. When we started to work on the game, we needed some, how can I say, some demonstration of what would be inside Monster Boy, and we asked a team of talented animators to make this small cutscene and to show that, okay, what's going to be the essence of Monster Boy. So we show all the transformation and what we intend to put in the game, even it was not completely finished at the time. So yeah, it was like more than 2 years ago we finished these animations.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And what studio actually did the animations? Was it you?
No, it's like independent animators called Ulysse Malassang and Marco Nguyen, and with a decorator called Bertrand Piocel. They are just a group of 3 persons, and they are making like full motion animated movies in France that pretty famous right now, but maybe not around the world, not yet.
Yeah, hopefully this will be a big boost to them. So I got one big question to start off, which is for people like here in our scene, in the retro scene and the Retro.HK, there's no reason that it needs any introduction whatsoever. But the big question for a lot of viewers, hopefully that are being exposed to this right now, is if I'm obnoxious millennial Joe Gamer and I have absolutely no connection whatsoever to the Wonder Boy franchise or anything that's come before it, how would you like to describe your game and what it offers to somebody coming in fresh?
Okay, so basically Monster Boy is just a big adventure action game with a slight, how can I say, RPG elements. So you can see this basically as a Zelda-like in a platformer game, but it's very far away from this right now. And the main thing that you would like to know about Monster Boy, it's like a Metroidvania, but with very focused about exploration. Like there are many fights and bosses and plenty of things you will discover, but it's like a Metroidvania. When you start the game, you are like Jin as a human character, and very soon you will be transformed as a pigman, the pig, and it's like a curse. And every time you will beat a boss, you will get a new transformation, and so on. And each transformation will allow you to explore new areas. So yeah, it's basically a Metroidvania, but with slight elements of RPG and action and adventure. Yeah, it's really fantastic to work on this project, and not mentioning Wonder Boy, of course.
Awesome. This is Kodak here. So Monster Boy has an interesting development history. In the beginning, it started as Flying Hamster 2, Night of the Golden Seed, the sequel to Flying Hamster. What compels you to switch it up from that concept to what we are seeing now, and how much of the original concept was left intact in the final product?
That's a very good question. We started this project as a fan, like we wanted to give tribute to the Wonder Boy series by making Flying Hamster 2. That was like a game we wanted to make because we are very fond of Wonder Boy games, and we just wanted to make a game that, okay, let's make a new Wonder Boy like with our franchise, which is Flying Hamster. That was the main idea we had before, and it was not, we didn't expect that it would turn like a real Wonder Boy sequel in the end, but this is how it happened. When we launched the Flying Hamster 2 Kickstarter back in 2014, we had the chance to talk with many people from the press, and one guy from Hardcore Gaming 101 named Kurt. I showed him the project before we launched the Kickstarter page, and I said to him, okay, this is a very Wonder Boy inspired game we have here, and we are very happy to work on this, and I don't know. I'd like to work with people who made the music of Wonder Boy, like like the person who really made the music from the Wonder Boy 3, for instance. And he's told me, hey, your game is really cool, and why don't you show it directly to the person, Mr. Nishizawa, who is the creator of Wonder Boy series and of Western Company. And he suggested this to me, and I said, okay, why not? I'm going to send him a little email and show him the project before it goes live. And I didn't expect so much at the time. And I showed him the project, and he just answered me as Mr. Nishizawa told me like a very short email, and he sent me like, okay, just wait a second, I'll be right back in a few days for you. So, okay, I told him thank you, and we hope that you like the project anyways, because Flying Hamster 2 wouldn't exist without Wonder Boy franchise. And he just sent me a few days later a video of himself, and he said, okay, I support officially the Flying Hamster 2 project, and I want the Flying Hamster 2 project to be a crossover with the Wonder Boy franchise. And I allow you to use all the monsters, the universe, the characters, and the level designs from Wonder Boy, and you can put it inside Flying Hamster 2. And the team was like completely stunned. We didn't expect that at all. It was really a very big, major turn of this in this project development. And the second thing that was very big turn and major event in the development process was when the Kickstarter went live. Like 2 days after it went live, the FDG Entertainment publisher dropped me a message, and they told me, hey guys, you're making a fantastic game and we would like to make it happen with you. So why don't we can publish it and we can fund it. So why don't you kill the Kickstarter and work with us on this? And I said, actually, it was a very interesting, and we said, okay, why not? And the audience didn't know that Mr. Nishizawa was involved at the time. So we told FDG, hey, do you know that the creator of Wonder Boy is okay for us to allow us to use the franchise from Monster World and Wonder Boy series, and we can use it for our game? So at the time, we all discussed, and it was obvious that we wanted to make a new Wonder Boy fresh and not making it dependence from the Flying Hamster IP, which was nonsense at the time. So yeah, this was two major events. It was Mr. Nishizawa supporting us and FDG Entertainment getting in the loop and funding the project. So we killed the Kickstarter and we went all together. You can see right now what is Monster Boy.
Yeah, and that's kind of what captivated me right off the bat is the graphics. What an honor to be able to collaborate with them. So I also saw it had a previous title. I've got to ask you.
Yeah.
What was the Monster Boy Kingdom of Booze? What was the behind that title? Because that's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome, but that's as many things that are a little bit not very serious in the name. So many people thought that, oh, the name is silly, so the game is going to be silly. But as you know, we are very aware of what the community thinks about our game. We have a monsterboy.com website where we hold with FDG, they hold the blog, the development blog, and we are very aware of what the community thinks about that. And when we first dropped the name, the Wizard of Booze, which is still in the game because the uncle of Jin, the main character, is a little bit of a drunk guy. He's not a bad guy, but he's a bit addicted to alcohol. He's a funny character. You know, we all have this uncle that is a bit joyful and a bit drunken guy during the parties. And yeah, he's this kind of guy, and he's still in the game. And he's a very important NPC in the game. You will see that when you play the full game. But yeah, we dropped the name because the community thought, oh no, it's not very serious. We expect something more like a epic or heroic title. So we switched and we found a new subtitle of the game.
Okay, all right. Well, that's an awesome backstory. I like that. So it sounds like you're very passionate about this project, and maybe even though the originals here. I have a question that I ask everybody that's involved in these kind of neo-retro video games. And it's kind of a two-part question. What gaming systems were prevalent in your house growing up, number one? And the question I ask everybody, I have a small YouTube project where we talk about specific personal gaming memories that defined our childhoods. What would be a memory of gaming in your formative years that you would say was the most impactful?
Okay, so I see. So basically I grew up, I had the luck to have a father who put video games in my hands very young. It was back in the early 80s, and I had this kind of, Pong machine at home. And this was the first memories I remember. And after that, I think very quickly my father had the computers for work, and I just used them for trying to use and to play games. And the biggest thing I remember from my childhood was like when he brought MSX system, and the MSX had like a big box with more than 30 games, and all the Konami series game like Gradius and Castlevania and everything. And this is the biggest thing I can remember from my childhood. It was very important to me. And after that, I had the chance to have all the consoles, of course, the Master System and the NES and then the Mega Drive. And yeah, I couldn't stop playing games. So yeah, you're right. I'm very passionate about video games from the very early times of my life.
Great. That's us too, 100%. So, and like everyone knows, Monster Boy is basically a spiritual successor to the Wonder Boy series. These graphics are mind-blowingly beautiful to me. But you guys, I will be honest, I've gone through and read almost every entry on your blog. You guys have even revamped your revamp to make it look even better. How many revisions has this gone through until it got to the point now where it's just, like I said, it's so polished, so pristine, the music's so beautiful. How many revisions do you guys go through? And it must have been a hard call to make, to kind of go through, and it seemed like some of the things you scrapped and started back up. Can you tell us a little bit about that process?
Yes, of course. I think it's like the way we work and what we share with FDG Entertainment is like they call it, and we agree about that. It's a very dynamic process. Nothing can stay like the way it is right now. As long as the development goes, we reiterate a lot. We have to rework the things because when you just step back a little bit and realize that what you did, like the assets you did like 3 or 4 years ago are very old compared to the experience we gained during the process of making this project, you couldn't let it like that. So we have to rework everything all the time. This is long and this is complicated, but in the end, you can see that the result is very different from what you've seen on the blog. In the very early days, we started to post the blog. So yeah, this is complicated, but this is the way we work. It's dynamic. The game never can be really finished because there is always something that you want to make better. And we try to focus on the things that are more weak and that need to be reworked. So in the end, it's going to be fantastic, and I hope so. You can see the difference right now already.
Oh yeah, I mean, that just kind of shows you guys' commitment to quality. Pushing out. I mean, you guys could have pushed it out, and it still would have looked okay. There's some recent examples of people making that mistake, No Man's Sky and stuff like that. If they would have, done some more revisions on it, so I appreciate that. I think that's awesome. You guys have the commitment that you do to make sure everyone gets a really polished product there.
Yeah, that's the point of our work here. And many people are complaining over the web that we are taking too much time to release the product. But for real, when they'll see the final product, I hope they will understand that it was necessary, and maybe they couldn't see. Many people think it's very easy to drop the game and say, okay, it's almost finished. Look at the product right now. It's perfect. But you have to be very consistent and to think that from the beginning of the game, when you start on the beach and until the very last dungeon, it has to be fantastic. And it's very complicated to make it extremely polished at all levels, all time.
Now, we've talked to a lot of developers recently, and everybody seems to approach the art of video game development in a different way. Some are very gameplay and mechanics focused. We talked to Yacht Club Games. Others, like Supergiant Games, have everything set after a musical mood piece, including all the way down to even concept art not being created until after the music mood and the story being written after the mood of the music and then the art style as well. When you guys approached Monster Boy, were you mainly concerned with mechanically feeling a lot like the Wonder Boy series, or were you concerned with the specific mechanics, the way that it looks, the narrative? What was your overriding factor that started the seed of everything else that was what you had to follow, that main tenet that you kept coming back to?
Yeah, I think the way of making games is can be, like you said, there are so many approaches you can have. We basically think that when you follow a very simple idea and when everyone is taking the train and jumping inside and say, okay, this is a good idea, let's try to develop it. For instance, I mentioned earlier that the video introduction of the game that showed many basic aspects of what we intended to put inside the game. This is something that, how can I say, it's like an avalanche. When you start, there is a little snowball that's falling down the slope, and you drop it, and you just see how far it's going to be and how big it's going to be. So the people, for instance, the level designers, they just started to see the intentions that that are depicted inside this full motion video at the beginning of the game, and they said, okay, that's right, we can do that, so how can we put that inside the game? And after that, the people, the level designers are trying to make it real, and we try to work on this. And after that, when the result is in the game, the graphic designers, they can update it and make it better. And who knows, we're gonna just show everything is related and correlated. It's very complex to explain, but I think the most important thing is to stay focused on the small ideas at the beginning and see how people are making it in the end. The result is like, yeah, it's very complex, and we don't have a big, we don't have an approach like music and stuff, because, for instance, the music is the musicians, and we have a very good team of musicians, like Mr. Yuzo Koshiro, who is very famous for the Streets of Rage series. We have yeah, we have Michiru Yamane.
Your musical dream team. Is there anybody that you could have possibly wanted for this project that you did not get?
No, actually, I think it went beyond our expectations, but the way they worked on the game was very important, because, for instance, we showed some early screenshots of the game to them, and they created the music. And afterwards, the music gave us a very big impulse of, okay, this is really crazy. We have to update the graphics accordingly to the music they created. You see what I mean? It's like the avalanche I was mentioning before. And for the Dream Team, we had on the music team, we already asked Michiru Yamane and Mr. Motoi Sakuraba, who is very famous for the Tales of or Dark Souls series. And they already jumped on the Kickstarter for Flying Hamster 2. They was okay for working with us. And when FDG went in the loop, they included more crazy musicians like like the creator of the sorry about that, don't remember exactly the Yuzo Koshiro and Mr. I don't remember, there is another artist. I'm sorry about that, I'm lost in my English right now, but there are plenty of other artists that they included and involved from FDG, and they did a really crazy work with them to make them work on Monster Boy, and we are so happy to hear the result right now. It's really crazy. Yeah,
it's absolutely gorgeous. It's incredibly frustrating because it sticks in your head, especially for a game that we can't actually play yet. It's beautiful, it's varied, and it fits perfectly. And that's the thing that you're saying, is that basically the graphics influence the music, influence the game mechanics, influence the graphics, influence the music, and it's just constant.
Sorry about that. I just remember it's Mr. Keiki Kobayashi, and he made so crazy tunes for Monster Boy 2. All the team is like equally, and it's like crazy. Like they really all did so beautiful music and soundtrack for the game. Right now, it's been like 4 years I'm working on this project and more, and I maybe heard the soundtrack like more than 10,000 times, and I cannot get tired of it. So for real, they all did an amazing job.
That's good, because since it's a Metroidvania, there's a good chance that some lost kid is going to hear it for about 10,000 hours. So
I think so, and I hope so.
Well, I hope he's incredibly frustrated and enjoying the music. I got to ask one question: Why not call the game Wonder Boy 5?
This is a very good question, because we talked about that, and it was, of course, we thought about this 1,000 times. The first thing in the process, it was pretty complicated at the time to get Sega involved, because Sega owns the name of Wonder Boy and Monster World. And we just thought that it would be easier for us to make something new and fresh, and that doesn't, because Wonder Boy right now, let's be honest, it's something that only the retro gamers know. It's not popular because there is no real new Wonder Boy game since the Asha one on Mega Drive. So people forgot.
I'll tell Omar that.
Yeah, why not? Why about it?
I'll tell Omar that you said that.
Because he considers that it's not a real Wonder Boy, something like that.
No, that's another question I have to ask you: is the timing from your game, which is this spiritual successor to essentially 3 and 4 within Monster World, its timing coming out? I know it's absurd, because 4 years ago when you started this massive project, you probably weren't even aware of other teams working on a remake of Lizard Cube's Wonder Boy 3. Is it just complete coincidence, or?
No, it's not a coincidence. It's I already realized that there was a very big eager to see a new Wonder Boy. So it was, to me, it's like when the idea is good, everyone is taking the occasion to work on it and to make something out of it. So I'm not surprised at all that Omar started to work on the Wonder Boy, because we knew Omar for many years. My lead developer was at the same school than Omar, and everybody knows Omar in France when you work in the video game companies. He's very fond of the Wonder Boy series, and there is no doubt about the fact that he would work on the Wonder Boy someday. And when we first, few years ago, we showed Omar our project, and he showed his project, and to us it was very relevant to remake Wonder Boy 3: The Dragon's Trap, which is one of the best from the series, and to us, to our team, to make a very new sequel from scratch, with new mechanics and new everything rewritten with a very modern aspect. And the two projects makes sense to us. It's like logical, and it shows that how much we was wondering and expecting to have a new Wonder Boy. And so in the end, you are lucky, because you can play the remake of the Wonder Boy 3 with gorgeous graphics, and you can very shortly, in a few months, you will be able to play Monster Boy and be able to see the sequel with the modern aspect of it. This is good. It's really good times.
Yeah, I agree. I've definitely been hearing a buzz of Wonder Boy and now Monster Boy that I've never heard before. Growing up in the States, they weren't the most popular games, but now I see the name more than I've ever seen it. So I think both of you guys are really bringing some of these retro games out to the forefront with that. One question I had for you. You said, it's got that Metroidvania feel to it, and playing through it, I've seen some other, kind of throwbacks to other games. In the water level, it really felt like Sonic the Hedgehog water levels as well, and of course, what other games did you kind of pull from for inspiration, if any?
This is a very good question, because so many people worked on the game. The inspirations are numerous. That when you make any kind of platforming game, you mentioned Sonic, of course, because it's one of the basic games for making a platformer. So you cannot be touched by this kind of project when you make a new platformer game. And of course, I can mention Zelda because from the old times, Wonder Boy was like inspired by Zelda too. And they had this the same kind of way you grow the number of hearts of your player, and the way you have some chests and stuff. It's so many games we took an inspiration, but I cannot say right now a specific number of titles because too many people worked on the game and had their own inspirations on it.
Okay, I have one last question that I have to ask you personally. The transformations in this game are definitely the star to me, so I really want to know if you could detail out some of the transformations for our viewers, because we're not going to get far enough to show many of them, and
Sure.
what your favorite one is and why.
Okay, so basically you have Jin. You start with Jin as a human transformation, which is the basic transformation of the player. It's one of the more action-oriented transformation because Jin in human can use like combos. He can stomp the enemies, and he can also have some other attacks when you improve it. And very quickly he becomes like the pig, and the pig is more or less like the curse of the game, because Jin didn't expect to turn as a pig. The pig is really cool because the animations are fantastic when he does the combo attacks, and he can also pull some magic attacks at the enemies. And he's fantastic, and every animation from the pig is making me laugh a lot. So I love him very much. But afterwards, you will realize that you can transform as a snake that can dig into small holes and can also do some headbutt attacks. And of course, he can also stick. If you remember in the Dragon Trap, when you are in the mouse, you can stick on some areas and walk on the ceilings. And it's basically very close to it. As a snake, you can just use it as a character that can jump and stick in some parts of the ceilings of the game. And after that, you have the frog transformation. The frog is one of my favorite transformations because it can use the tongue to grab some objects. So, for instance, you can steal some shields to some penguin guards. You can grab some rings and you can try that in demo, of course, that you can play on Retro.HK, and you will see that it's very cool to grab some bombs to the enemies and throw them back, fire them back to them. It's really cool. I love the frog. One of my favorites. And after that, you have the lion. The lion is a powerful guy that he can run so fast that he can run on the water surfaces of the game. This is a really powerful transformation. And finally, of course, you have the dragon that can fly and breathe some fire at the enemies. And with the dragon, you can fly and access many, many areas. But like you said, the transformation in the game are the star. But also you will realize that not only the transformation, but the equipment is very important in Monster Boy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we're just we're listening to you, and the game is just absolutely gorgeous. Well, we want to really thank you for your time here. We really appreciate both the demo as well as having you on talking about this beautiful game. And please let us know, when exactly is this game going to be available, and on what platforms?
So the platforms are basically all the consoles like PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. It's going to be the first release of the game. Then after that, we'll release the game on PC, Steam as well. But we have no release date at the moment, and I invite you guys to follow the monsterboy.com development blog, where at every moment when we have a new information about the game, we will drop it there, and you will know it very instantly when we drop the info about the release date. But no release date for the moment.
Okay, and one last question. We're retro guys. We got to ask, are you going to be doing a physical release for any of those platforms?
We hope so. We would love to. I don't have any information about that, but of course, like myself, I'm a very fond of collecting games, and I have small collection of boxed games. And if I can have myself as a consumer, I know that having a physical release of the game would be fantastic. I've seen the Dragon's Trap had the limited run, and I had lucky to get one of the collector edition from them, and I hope someday we have the same kind of deal. But this is more like a FDG entertainment. They know more about that, but I can guarantee that we all try to make a physical release of Monster Boy 2.
All right, well, I know we said that was the final question, but there's just one final question I have here, and I will say I'm a huge fan of the art direction here. The graphics, mind-blowingly beautiful, music's great. Some of the people here at the conference were wondering if any other classic games that could get, the Game Atelier treatment. I mean, are there anything you guys are thinking down the line, maybe some other spiritual successors to other beloved retro games or anything like that you could talk about, or just maybe speculate something you'd like to do?
Oh, that's a good question. Many people always ask us what's going to be the next game we want to work on. Right now, Monster Boy is like a huge project for our small team. We are like 12 persons in Paris working every day and very hard working on this game. And it's not over yet because we still have some polishing to do and some, like I said earlier, some PC porting to do. That is pretty huge work for our team. And after that, maybe we can have the time to think about making another, like you said, again, new Game Atelier treatment of another game. But there are so many games we love at Game Atelier. Like, who knows if we have the, we are very, very, all the team is very fan of old games and stuff. And yeah, I cannot say any name right now because there are too many. Sorry about that.
More than fair. We're looking really forward to playing this game on just about every platform, and hopefully to getting a collector's edition release. Fingers crossed.
Oh, that would be fantastic. And I would be the first to buy it.
Well, hopefully they don't make you buy it, first of all. But
no, I always buy my games. It's okay.
Well, that'll make at least 2 sales, because I'm definitely going to buy guaranteed. And I'm probably going to buy every region, too, because we're all crazy collectors here. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
And thank you. Thank you for inviting us and inviting me on this interview and for showcasing Monster Boy. And I really hope that all the Retro.HK visitors will enjoy playing the demo. All the team had spent so many hours working and to make it happen. And I really hope you will see the result. And yeah, please drop us a message at monsterboy.com.
All right. Thank you.